Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Great to be here with you today. Exciting topic. This one absolutely listener-based driven, and that is the pros and cons of supplemental-based nicotine. Now, nicotine before, go back 10 years, I know only the most, I would say, adamant and hardcore biohackers were using nicotine as a supplement, not necessarily through smoking alone. So most people, when they hear about nicotine, they think about smoking and the nicotine they may get from cigarettes or tobacco-based use. But nicotine, since it is something growing native on this earth, right? So it is an actual herb, it is part of nature, could have pros, could have cons, and a lot of times what we want to be able to do is differentiate between the harmful effects of smoking and breathing in smoke as a carcinogen in any form into our lungs, and also, of course, all the different chemicals and ethanol and other things that are added to nicotine-based products that can make them equally as addictive and give people that, a high that essentially they may be looking for that's not just from nicotine alone. And I'm not trying to confuse that with psychoactive-based components such as THC, etc. But what I want to do today is share with you, could there be benefits for you using nicotine as like maybe a lozenge or a patch or something like that? I'm not recommending smoking in any way, shape, or form. That includes vaping. I do not think that vaping is healthy for you. I've shared that on a previous podcast. I give you all the different reasons why. But breathing smoke, again, in any way, shape, or form is a carcinogen, which means that it can cause cancer. And a lot of vapes also contain very harmful chemicals, sometimes even more detrimental than smoking cigarettes. Now, neither one is healthy, but again, just leaving it at that. So what I want to share with you is, you've never heard about nicotine before as a supplement, do keep in mind that it is a naturally occurring alkaloid that's found in tobacco-based plants. So again, we get a natural plant, just like cannabis, a natural plant growing from the earth. So there could be benefits to it. And there are some potential benefits of nicotine. So what I want to do is share with you who it may be right for, because the problem is when you listen to a lot of experts online, they give you all of the benefits. They never talk about the cons. So, what I want to relate this to is that the same people that could potentially benefit from nicotine are the same ones that would benefit from like cold plunging. And I want to share with you why. The reason is that because you always have to simplify what these things do, right? So you want to think about all herbs in two different buckets. Now, they can be different, but some are going to stimulate the body. Others are going to calm the body. So what would be a stimulating based herb? So when we think of others that they're not stimulating, but they're at least adaptogens, right? They boost adrenal based function. Could be something like a rhodiola. Not necessarily stimulating, but it definitely is there to boost energy. Eleuthero could be another one. So there's ginseng can be another. So those are great. Again, not super stimulating, but they're not going to be the ones that you would use to calm the body. What do you use to relax the central nervous system? Okay, that would be something more like an ashwagandha or be chamomile or valerian. All of these things, what do? They increase GABA and or serotonin. Those are called inhibitory or calming neurotransmitters. Excitatory neurotransmitters, think neuro, boosting or stimulating the nervous system or calming the nervous system or calming brain waves. The excitatory neurotransmitters are more like dopamine and norepinephrine. So what is nicotine? Nicotine is an excitatory neurotransmitter herb. That's basically what it is. So what does it do? It increases dopamine and or potentially norepinephrine, but dopamine to a larger degree. So what that means is this, is that when you pop in a nicotine lozenge or put a nicotine patch on or even nicotine-based gum, because those are like the three main ways that you can get it, it's going to boost all the things that dopamine would allow you to do. And acetylcholine, I won't overlook that. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And norepinephrine. So it could increase heart rate to a little degree. It could increase blood pressure to a small degree. It could improve your alertness, your focus, your ability to kind of think and study. That's why a lot of people will use it as well. So it gives you more of that stimulation-based effect. Now, is it natural? Yes, but remember, natural doesn't always mean good for you. So there are many people who produce a larger amount of dopamine that I'll talk about the cons in just a moment that would actually get detrimental effects from nicotine. And that's the problem. Most biohackers don't talk about that. They say, oh, you should be using at least 1 to 2 milligrams of nicotine. And like, they just go on and on like, okay, that's actually going to be really detrimental for about a third of the population. It won't really help too much, 1/3 of the population, and it'll be helpful for about a third of the population. So you kind of need to know what part of that population you are in. And so I'll go over that in just a moment. Other benefits, though, of nicotine can be that it can be neuroprotective. So if you are someone that isn't producing a lot of dopamine, moving more towards maybe Parkinson's-based disease. Now, again, I'm not providing medical plans, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. But what I want you to share with you is that this might be something worth looking into, since nicotine enhances attentional performance and working memory. And I'm going to link up a bunch of studies. So that's the first study. Nicotine enhances attentional performance and working memory. The second one is the neuroprotection. That one is nicotine receptor activation may prevent Alzheimer's-based pathology. Now, again, does that mean that you should take this to prevent Alzheimer's? No, because the body does not have a nicotine deficiency in any way, shape, or form. Like in any way, shape, or form. So for Alzheimer's and all of the top 5 major causes of dis-ease and mortality, you want to look at what are your deficiencies, it's not nicotine, or what are your toxicities, remove those toxicities, and then add back in those deficiencies. Best way to do that is with the big 5 labs that I talk about all the time. I can link up here today. I'm going to link up these studies for you, though, the pros and the cons, at stephencabral.com/3329. All right, the next one. People that are feeling a little low mood, right? Apathetic, maybe even depressed, maybe worth looking into for a period of time while you're working on those underlying root causes. Here's a study. Nicotine effects on mood and cognitive function. These are all PubMed studies. So these are legitimate studies. Again, could give you a little boost while you're working on, again, underlying root causes. I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to kind of cut to the chase just for a moment. We don't use it in our practice. We have no need for it because, again, we're always looking at the underlying root causes. And then what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to give you what we use as what I feel are safer alternatives to nicotine. I'm not saying nicotine's unsafe. I'm saying it's more stimulating than your body probably needs, like using too much caffeine. However, what I will say is we do use other alternatives that can give people the mood boost, memory, a lot of these things that they're looking for. All right. Another one, nicotine and body weight regulation. So nicotine can act as a metabolic stimulant and can reduce hunger signals. Interesting. The last one is the potential for ADHD. And again, I'm not making a recommendation on this, by enhancing dopamine and norepinephrine. So nicotine's cognitive effects in ADHD. Okay, so we just went through all of the different pros of nicotine. Basically, that it can improve and enhance cognitive ability. So that includes focus and memory and alertness. It also helps with neuroprotection, possibly for those dopamine neurons and receptors for things like Parkinson's and or maybe Alzheimer's. Can give you a little bit of a mood boost. So those that are more maybe apathetic, low energy, low drive, low ambition, depression, may help with appetite suppression and weight loss, and also potentially for ADHD-based symptoms. I will link up those 5 PubMed studies for you to check them out for yourself at stephencabral.com/3329. So obviously there's some potential opportunity there, but think about it. Those individuals that I just named, low mood, low energy, weight gain, and lack of focus, etc., they're all the kapha-based symptoms in Ayurvedic medicine, right? That is more the slowness, the earth, the water, the stagnation. So what is nicotine doing? The same thing essentially that a caffeine would do. It's going to stimulate the excitatory neurotransmitters. In that case, it stimulates the same exact ones, but just through different pathways. Now, may nicotine be a more healthier, natural way to do that? Maybe. There are also benefits to caffeine, and there are also studies on that. So, but again, I'm letting you choose, not necessarily telling you what to do. because as an adult, I believe that you should be able to choose what you feel is right for you. And I just want to give you all the potential pros and then some potential cons as well. All right, here are the cons. The first is that it can be highly addictive. This is the reason we don't use it in my practice. That's one of the big reasons. I'll give you the second one in just a moment. Biggest reason, it can be highly addictive. So it is difficult to come off nicotine, and you need to wean down for many people because it's difficult to substitute in any other natural-based way a lot of the feelings you get from nicotine. Same with smoking. It is difficult for many people to come off. So just be careful because a dependency can be created, and I'm not sure that that's a substance that you want to be addicted to. All right. I believe that all foods, all supplements, you should be able to stop if you need to. Like that's very important to me. And that includes caffeine. If you're addicted to caffeine for energy, it's an issue. If you have some caffeine, you'd be okay either way. That's better, right? All right, number 2. This is the second reason we don't use nicotine. It can increase and does increase blood pressure in many individuals. Nicotine and cardiovascular risk is the name of the study. The study before that for its addictive nature is nicotine addiction in the brain. Again, all of these are PubMed-based studies. So the increase in blood pressure may increase cardiovascular or heart disease risk. I think it's an important factor. I certainly think that especially people that don't already exercise, they don't already have a healthy blood pressure, they may be at risk for metabolic syndrome. They start listening to some of these biohackers about nicotine, they start using that, they now increase their blood pressure, which might have been borderline before at like 128 over 82, and now it's 136 over 90. Right? Not good, right? So that's going to create what? Assaults on your artery, more inflammation, potentially more stenosis or plaque buildup in the arteries, and higher blood pressure. So not ideal. The next issue is that people may be using it outside of just the morning time and can actually impair sleep at night, specifically REM sleep. So really important. If you see your REM sleep is low and you're using a lot of caffeine and or stimulants like nicotine, it could be one of the reasons why. So study nicotine and sleep disturbance. I'll link that up. Then I like to give 5 pros and I'm giving 5 cons. The fourth con is potential for increased anxiety over time. Now, I told you before, it could help with low mood, lethargy. It could help with depression even. Here's the issue. Is that over time, that stimulation of that heart rate coming up a little bit, the sympathetic nervous system being increased, it can lead to increase in irritability, overwhelm, and anxiety. So are you trading depression and the lethargy for some anxiety in the future? Something to think about, right? So that studies nicotine's paradoxical effects on anxiety. So it increases baseline anxiety when not using it. So basically, when you're using it, again, leading to the addictive nature, it can reduce anxiety acutely. And then when you're not using it, it can actually give you an increase in baseline anxiety. So that's why it can also become addictive. All right, the last one is this: long-term neurological concerns. Just like we spoke about earlier, potentially, maybe if someone's leaning more towards Parkinson's, et cetera, might be worth exploring with your doctor or practitioner. Here's the problem. Prolonged stimulation of the nicotinic receptors may lead to desensitization, requiring higher doses for the same cognitive benefits and neurological benefits over time. So now 1 milligram, 2 milligrams no longer works. You're up to 3, 4 plus milligrams per day. It's just something to think about, right? So what I say is that I would use this as the same way I would use maybe like THC, or I would use higher doses of CBD. I would say for a 3 to 6 month plan, you might have a great reason that you may want to use this product. But I would say this: after 8 to 12 weeks, I'd be looking to wean down. I really would be. There's like, so I give you the same recommendations I would give my parents, my wife, my family, the clients in my private practice, like the people that I directly work with, and they've got me on speed dial, right? So this is the recommendations. Like, yeah, you've heard a lot about this in the news. You've heard about it on social media, but what you haven't heard about are all the cons. And so you could get all of these benefits, but this is not something that we want to be able to use or should use long-term, my opinion. So here's what we're going to do. You want to use the product? I'll help you use it correctly. We're going to use this short-term, 1 to 2 milligrams probably lozenges to be able to get the effect when we want the effect, which would be earlier in the day when the excited neurotransmitters should be a little bit more elevated. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start making sure that we can go from maybe 1 milligram in the beginning, or even a half, to then 1 milligram, to then 2 milligrams at the peak. And then what we're going to start to do is then after that, call it 8-week mark or so, come back down to 1 milligram. Maybe after 10 weeks or so, or 12 weeks, we're going to get down to maybe a half, and then we're going to come off. And by then, whatever the underlying root causes are that we were working on to boost dopamine levels naturally, those have been fixed. You've run the stress mood and metabolism test. You've run the minerals and metals test. You've run the candida metabolic and vitamins test. And from those, we're going to be able to see what the real deficiencies and toxicities are. If you've never heard about any of these labs before, they can be done right at home. You work with an integrative health practitioner or an EcoLife coach, and we're happy to share those results and a personalized plan for you. All of these are over at EcoLife. The easiest way to get there is just stevencabral.com/shop. It just takes you over to EcoLife. That's our virtual private practice. We work with clients in 27 countries all over the world. We're happy to help you as well. If this information was helpful, great. Please do feel free to share it with a friend. You can simply send them to stevencabral.com/3329 for the podcast and, of course, the 10 different scientific studies. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.